How's it going, everybody? I'm Danielle. I'm going to go through some questions that I have been asked over the months that I have finished the trail, and hopefully answer some of the questions that some people who haven't hiked the trail are looking for answers to. So one of the first things that I wanted to address is how many miles did I average on the trail? So I hiked my trip in 8 days and I averaged 18 miles per day. Some days were a little shorter than that. Well, more or less my first day was shorter than that at like 12 miles, and that was to my first stop at Woods Lake. After that, every other day was considerably longer at 18 to 22 miles a day. Where did I stop for resupply? I didn't stop for resupply. I went right on through. I took all of my food with me. I took 10 days of food with me in my pack, and I stuffed it in there, and it was very heavy. But I didn't want to be stuck on a schedule with the post office. You can find resupply in Passaic, which is the first place that you will probably want to stop for resupply. We're gonna actually walk right past the post office. It is kind of a long, flat walk, but it's kind of nice to like road walk after a while. One thing that I would suggest, as long as you're not running late on time, is to stop at the airport. There is a restroom there. It is the farthest building on your right, and you can just walk right in there and use the bathroom. There's sinks in there. They're pretty big sinks. And I would wash up. It feels so good to be clean, especially after 3 days on trail. So I would check that out. But the post office is right there and you have to walk by it anyway. So that was one thing that I really kind of did regret, was that I could have easily stopped and resupplied there. I could have saved myself so much weight on my back, but I really just didn't want to be stuck. I wanted to hike on my own schedule and not have to have any extra pressure of, I gotta get to the post office on this day by this time or they're gonna close, and I'll be without food. It would literally ruin your entire trip, especially if this is your first through hike and you're not sure what your pace is going to be. So something to keep in mind. Another spot that you could resupply would be Blue Mountain Lake. You could probably send your stuff to Lake Durant Campground. I'm not really sure how they would feel about that. That's something you would want to call and find out. There is another post office in Long Lake. There's a spur trail off of the Northville Placid Trail. I don't know, I think it's maybe a mile and a half. And you could hike down that and get to the post office, and I believe there might even be a Stewart's, but don't quote me on that. Like I said, I didn't do a resupply, so I'm not really quite too sure. When I was thinking about resupplies, one thing that I did was I called Passaic Post Office and I said, hi, I'm looking to hike the Northville Placid Trail. If I wanted to leave a box, what do I have to do? She said, you're going to want to let us know when we could expect the box, and you're going to want to write, please hold for NPT, through hiker, and your name. And she told me that she held on to the boxes for 10 days. Did you see a lot of people on the trail? I didn't really see a whole lot of people on the trail. The only time that I did see people was in the very beginning, crossing West Stony Creek, and anytime that I got really close to roads, I noticed a lot of people would be out walking their dogs or just doing a quick little day hike. But I really saw the most people at around 5 people at West Stony Creek, and really only saw people head in the opposite direction. Bugs were terrible. And if you watch the first video of the actual experience, you will see just how bad and how much I felt about the bugs. If I could do it over again, I would probably go in late September or early October, when the leaves are just starting to change and the bugs are dead. That's probably my best time. That's my probably only suggestion as far as when it comes to bugs, and wearing a bug net. Bug nets. Water sources. Water sources are everywhere. You're really not going to have a dry water bottle at all. I maybe went 1 mile without having water, and that's because I finished mine and I was wanting to get to the lean-to and have a little bit of a lighter pack, and I knew that I was going to get to a much better water source. The one that I crossed, it was really muddy, so I wasn't really trying to fill up there. Bears and animal encounters. I saw one bear, and I was in Passaico. It took right off, and I really didn't have to worry about that. I feel like if it was a mother and a cub or cubs, it would have been a whole different story. This bear took off well before I could see it, well before I could smell it. So other than that, I saw plenty of deer. I got a couple of some bucks, big ones, and they didn't really seem bothered by me. I don't know if it's because they didn't see a whole lot of people, or maybe they do see a lot of people. No idea. Cell phone service. I only had cell phone service when I got to about 2,000 feet of elevation. This is my dog, by the way. Nugget. I only got service when I got into about 2,000 feet of elevation. That was when I was leaving Passaico and crossing up that big hill, and when I got closer to Blue Mountain Lake, and when I got to the road crossing in Long Lake, which was Route 28. So I only had 3 spots where I had service total, and that was way okay with me. I had a Garmin InReach Explorer, so I really didn't need anything else. Shuttles. So I didn't use the shuttle. I had my friend meet me in Lake Placid. She left her car there in Lake Placid. We drove my car to Northville, where she dropped me off, and then took my car and my keys to leave in Lake Placid, where she left my keys and locked them in my car, and I had a valet key so I could get in. Then she was able to spend the weekend in Lake Placid and do her own thing. But if you're looking for a shuttle, Bob and Matt's Campwood and Passaico are totally willing to help. If you go on Facebook and find the Northville Placid Trail group, you will find a whole great community full of people who have finished the trail, people who are starting the trail or have done sections that are super, super helpful and willing to help anybody who's looking for a little extra information. So you can find Bob and Matt's Campwood on that Facebook group. Yeah, so I think that's just about everything. If you like this video, please like it, subscribe if you haven't, and I will see you in the next one. Bye. Say bye, Nuggie.